For sexual gratification, you violated a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old.
We don't often get the credit we deserve for handling the horrors that are brought before us in courtrooms every day. These emotionally charged scenes usually involve the accused, the victim, or their families. However, there are rare moments when it involves the judge presiding over the case. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest videos. Today, we'll take you through the top 5 cases where judges showed their emotions while dealing with heinous crimes. Number 5 takes us to the Larissa and Christopher Rodriguez case. The case of Larissa and Christopher Rodriguez involved the tragic death of their 5-year-old special needs child, Jordan. The couple was brought to trial in the Common Pleas Court, and during the sentencing, the judge, Nancy Margaret Russo, broke down in tears.
And I look at these photographs, and it's very hard. I know as a judge I'm not supposed to show emotion. And in 22 years, I never have. This is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
The case was numbered 5 in the court proceedings. Jordan's corpse revealed evidence of child abuse, including fractures of his wrist and several ribs. It was a shocking revelation that the child had been subjected to such brutality, especially given his vulnerable state. The court heard that the couple had buried Jordan's body in their backyard, compounding the horrific nature of the crime. During the trial, both Larissa and Christopher pled guilty to charges of involuntary manslaughter, child endangering, and gross misconduct of a corpse. The charges reflected the severity of their actions and the lack of regard for their child's welfare. In addition, Larissa was found guilty of illegally selling nearly $10,000 worth of food stamps, which compounded the severity of their crimes. The sentencing was harsh, as the couple received long jail terms for their actions. Larissa was sentenced to 25 years in jail without the possibility of parole, reflecting the gravity of her crimes, including the food stamp fraud. Christopher received the maximum sentence of 28 years, showing the court's disdain for his actions. It was a deeply disturbing case that left a mark on the judge, who broke down in tears during the sentencing. It was a reflection of the severity of the crimes committed and the impact they had on the innocent child, Jordan. Number 4 takes us to the Terry J. McFadden case. The case of Terry J. McFadden revolves around the physical abuse of 2 young girls at the daycare he and his wife ran from their home. Terry McFadden, who was 70 years old at the time of the sentencing, was given a prison term of 22 years for his crimes. The abuse came to light in April 2019, when the victims, who were 4 and 6 years old at the time, disclosed the abuse to their parents. Terry McFadden was charged with 2 counts of physical harm and pleaded guilty to both charges.
This court is so sick and tired of seeing adults ruin and abuse children. These are literally just one step from being babies. They come to a daycare, those parents struggle so that when they release their children to someone during the day, they have some semblance that that child is going to be protected and safe. Not let alone 2 of their children being raped by your own admission, sir. For sexual gratification, you violated a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old.
The sentence was handed down by Franklin County Common Pleas Judge Julie M. Lynch, who presided over the case. The victims' parents were given an opportunity to speak in court, delivering lengthy statements about the impact the abuse had on their children and family. As a result of his conviction, Terry McFadden will not be eligible for early release and will be required to register as a sex offender every 90 days for the rest of his life.
I'm going to tell you something, Mr. McFadden. There's no free rapes in my courtroom. On count 1, I'm sending you to prison for 11 years. On count 4, I'm sending you to prison for 11 years. They will be consecutive to each other for a total of 22 years. You have 32 days jail credit. At this time, the court finds it necessary to protect the public from future crimes, to punish the offender, and to find that consecutive sentences are not disproportionate to the seriousness of the offender's conduct and to the danger the offender poses to the public. Folks, if you see it, you smell it, you know it's happening, you report it. These are little children that are the future. I hate to sound so cliche, but the children are our future, and if we're destroying them, we have no future. And this ends in this courtroom. That'll be all. Fines and costs are waived.
This is a severe punishment that reflects the seriousness of his crimes and the harm that he caused to innocent children. The case serves as a reminder of the importance of ensuring that children are protected from harm, particularly in environments where they are entrusted to the care of others. The third case takes us to the Kevin and Elizabeth Schatz case.
About parents who beat their child to death in the name of God. They believe the Bible requires them to spank their kids with items like belts and rods in order to train them to be well-behaved, happy kids.
The Kevin and Elizabeth Schatz case is a tragic example of the devastating consequences of using violent discipline on children. The couple was convicted of second-degree murder in the death of their 7-year-old daughter, Lydia Schatz, in February 2010. The Schatzes, who were members of a fundamentalist Christian group that espoused strict discipline of children, believed that they could discipline their children by hitting them with a PVC pipe. Lydia was hit repeatedly with the pipe, along with her younger sister, and suffered from multiple injuries, including a collapsed lung, liver damage, and massive tissue damage.
Where did you get spanked? Just on the arms and the back?
On my bottom and on my back last night, and underneath my feet.
Underneath your feet? Sorry, I'd like to take you to the hospital, okay?
I probably need to bring a pot because I might throw up again.
Lydia's injuries were so severe that she was unable to recover, and she died as a result of the abuse. Kevin and Elizabeth Schatz were arrested and charged with murder, along with several other charges related to child abuse and torture. At their trial, the couple pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, torture, and child abuse. The judge in the case, Judge John Trice, was deeply affected by the case and wept as he sentenced Kevin Schatz to life in prison and Elizabeth Schatz to 25 years to life in prison. In addition to the prison sentence, the Schatzes were also ordered to pay restitution to their surviving children who were removed from their custody after Lydia's death. The Schatz case sparked a national conversation about the use of physical discipline on children and the dangers of extremist religious beliefs that advocate harsh discipline as a form of punishment. The case also led to changes in California law, which now bans the use of corporal punishment in foster care and other state-funded programs. Overall, the case stands as a tragic reminder of the need to protect children from all forms of abuse and neglect, and to provide them with the love and support they need to thrive. Number 2 takes us to the Elliot Morales case. In May 2013, Elliot Morales, a 33-year-old man, fatally shot Mark Carson, a gay man, in New York City's Greenwich Village neighborhood. Morales had been drinking with friends when he began harassing Carson and his friend, making derogatory remarks about their sexual orientation. He then followed them for several blocks before fatally shooting Carson in the head. Morales was charged with second-degree murder as a hate crime and criminal possession of a weapon. During his trial, he claimed that he was too drunk to remember the shooting and that he had not intended to kill anyone. However, the jury found him guilty on all charges in 2016. At his sentencing hearing, Justice A. Kirk Bartley Jr. had tears in his eyes as he read Morales' sentence, stating that the court had a duty to protect society from Morales' violent behavior. Morales was sentenced to 40 years to life in prison. The judge noted that the sentence reflected the brutality and callousness of the crime, and that it would serve as a warning to others who would commit similar acts of violence against LGBTQ individuals. The case drew widespread attention and condemnation, with many LGBTQ rights advocates calling for increased protections and harsher penalties for hate crimes. The sentencing of Morales was seen as a small step towards addressing the issue of violence against the LGBTQ community and ensuring justice for the victims and their families. Finally, the number 1 case takes us to the Charleston church shooting. Dylan Roof, a young white man with a history of racist beliefs and actions, committed one of the deadliest acts of violence against African Americans in recent memory. On June 17, 2015, he walked into the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston, South Carolina, and sat with a group of black worshipers for an hour before opening fire on them, killing 9 people and injuring several others. Roof was apprehended by police the following day, and he later admitted to the shootings in a videotaped confession. The case received national attention and sparked a debate about race relations and gun control in the United States. Roof was eventually convicted on 33 federal charges, including hate crimes and obstruction of religion, and he represented himself during the penalty phase of his trial. During the sentencing hearing, family members of the victims gave emotional impact statements, with some forgiving Roof for his actions and others condemning him for his hateful beliefs.
To you, I forgive you. You took something very precious away from me. I will never talk to her ever again. I will never be able to hold her again. But I forgive you. And have mercy on your soul. You hurt me. You hurt a lot of people. But God forgive you. And I forgive you.
Judge Richard Gergel, who presided over the trial, also addressed the court and the families of the victims. He struggled to maintain his composure as he spoke, saying that he had never seen a case with such unfathomable evil and that the trial had been the most significant and meaningful trial he had ever been a part of. He went on to say that the families of the victims had shown remarkable grace and dignity throughout the trial. After considering the evidence and the statements of the victims' families, the jury recommended that Roof be sentenced to death, and Judge Gergel upheld the sentence. Roof is currently on death row in Terre Haute, Indiana, and his case remains a stark reminder of the ongoing struggle against racism and hate in the United States. These cases show that judges are not immune to the emotions that come with dealing with heinous crimes. While they are expected to remain impartial, these cases demonstrate the human toll that comes with presiding over such emotionally charged proceedings. Thank you for watching our video discussing some of the most emotional sentencing moments in recent years. If you found this video informative, please consider subscribing to our channel for more content like this. Also, don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment below to let us know your thoughts on these cases. Your support helps us create more content that educates and informs. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.